The Trump administration has informed multiple divisions within the Department of Health and Human Services that they should avoid using certain words or phrases in official documents being drafted for next year's budget. Officials at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which is part of HHS, were given a list of 7 prohibited words or phrases during a meeting Thursday with senior CDC officials who oversee the budget. The words to avoid: vulnerable, entitlement, diversity, transgender, fetus, evidence-based and science-based. A second HHS agency received similar guidance to avoid using entitlement, diversity, and vulnerable, according to an official who took part in a briefing earlier in the week. Participants at that agency were also told to use Obamacare instead of ASAI, or the Affordable Care Act, and to use exchanges instead of marketplaces to describe the venues where people can purchase health insurance. At the State Department, meanwhile, certain documents now refer to sex education as sexual risk avoidance. The colleague who provided the briefing at the second HHS agency relied on a document from the Office of Management and Budget detailing guidance for the fiscal 2019 budget, said the official in an interview Saturday. No explanations were given for the language changes. The HHS official spoke on the condition of anonymity because the language change information was supposed to be close-hold. The person did not want to name the agency to protect the identity of officials involved in the talks. It's not clear whether other federal agencies have been instructed to avoid certain words, and if so, to what extent, in preparing their budget documents for next year. Officials interviewed at the 2 HHS agencies said the language restriction was unusual and a departure from previous years. Trump administration officials are forbidding officials at the nation's top public health agency from using a list of 7 words or phrases, including fetus and transgender, in any official documents being prepared for next year's budget. Policy analysts at the Centers for Disease Control. Trump administration officials are forbidding officials at the nation's top public health agency from using a list of 7 words or phrases, including fetus and transgender, in any official documents being prepared for next year's budget. Policy analysts at the Centers for Disease Control. The OMB oversees the process that culminates in the president's annual budget proposal to Congress. That budget document, usually several volumes, is generally shaped to reflect an administration's priorities. An OMB spokesman did not respond to a request for comment. News of the directives to stop using these words and phrases drew outcry from scientific groups, researchers, and advocacy organizations who took to Twitter and other social media. Rush Holt, chief executive of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, said, "Among the words forbidden to be used in CDC budget documents are evidence-based and science-based. I suppose one must not think those things either. Hey, raise a word that's still allowed, ridiculous."